Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Public Works Committee, Monday, December the 15th, year 2025, Parkdale Room, City Hall, 12 p.m. Order of business. Call the meeting to order. Item 2, declarations of conflicts of interest.
None.
Item 3, approval of agenda.
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Motion carried. Adoption of the minutes.
Moved.
Moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Those minutes were November the 6th, 2025. Business arising from the previous minutes.
Page 2. Sidewalk 5-year plan presentation. So Mr. Chair, so the 5-year plan we're working on is current plan, correct? We're in year 2, year 3, or is that
Year 3.
right?
We're going in year 3.
Okay. So some of the work that's being done, it's been subcontracted, and some of the subcontractors are having difficulty getting the proper documentation done, and therefore has slowed down the progress of getting the work done. So could I ask, Mr. Chair, will we be able to finish everything that we set out to do for 2025 sidewalks? Can I ask either?
Okay, just before, do you want to repeat that again?
So, for the 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Some of the I'm gonna say some of the contracts that went out.
Right.
They were awarded to a contractor who subcontracted to another contractor, of course. And this has delayed some of the process. My question is, will we complete, let's say, Westcomb this year, or will we have to wait till next year? That's,
Okay, good question. Now, question I have is,
but Mr. Chair, I just wanted to qualify.
Yeah.
There's another reason, I'm getting calls from some residents
Yeah.
that are living on these project sites, that we have to go back and gravel it, pave it because of the,
deficiencies.
not deficiencies, but the work's not completed, it's not
Okay,
running
so,
into bad weather.
okay, before I turn it over to the manager,
Yes.
okay, so contractors awarded the work, contractors subcontracts to other companies.
Correct.
So is the onus on the contractor to make sure that the bid package is fulfilled? It's up to the contractor,
Correct,
right? It's not up to the subcontractor.
correct,
So it's up to the contractor
correct.
to make sure
The
that,
contracts are filled.
right,
Yeah.
okay, so just before I turn it over, once again, when were you made aware of this?
Well, I had my notes, and I thought my notes were here, and I must have left them at home. So it was made aware to me a couple of weeks ago.
2 weeks ago? Okay,
Again, my purpose for asking the question, Mr. Chair, is to ask, will we be in a position to complete these contracts by the end of the fiscal year 2025,
okay, no,
2026?
it's a fair question, but you were made aware 2 weeks ago, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so before I turn, okay, Mr. Manager, take it away.
Thank you, Chair, through to the Mayor. So I guess the overall, the work for this year is done for now. All
Done
of
for
the
now.
projects are not complete. We ran into weather that made us kind of stop the work and push it along. If we would have got another couple of weeks of good weather, we would have been able to finish off probably most of the work. So right now, the work is done at a halt for this year. So there are still three sidewalks, 2 sidewalks and 1 multi-use path that are not fully complete that will be carried forward to next fiscal. To speak on the subcontractor work, I guess I'm slightly confused. If you could elaborate on your comment for the paperwork or what was needed for.
I think it's the work, it's the work order going from the contractor to the subcontractor,
Okay.
that there's been some delays and that has delayed the projects. But again, Mr. Chair, I know this happens in the construction field, like there are, some construction companies are so busy that they're trying to catch up to what they're doing with other contracts, I understand that. My purpose of my question is, we will not finish 2 sidewalks or 1 multi-use paved pathway for this year.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. They've all been started. I would say that they're all fairly progressed a lot further along than we were last year. Last year, we had two sidewalks that had to be carried over fully. This year, we're just trying to wrap up the numbers to see how much money will be needed to be carried forward next year. But yeah, the subcontractor work is unfortunately, like you said, this happens all the
Yeah.
time. There's certain trades out there that certain work, only gets done by certain people, whether it be curbing or other things, so there was some delays. We got unfortunately some rain and some snow, and sidewalks and concrete, takes a little bit longer to cure.
But as far as the paperwork goes, that's, the onus is on the contractor,
It is.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the onus is on the contractor, right? He's awarded the contract. He subcontracts to whoever he wants. But in terms of communications, contractual obligations, making sure that every aspect of that contract is fulfilled, that's discussions, negotiations with the city and the contractor, because the city awarded a contractor the work. Who he decides to subcontract to, that's his business, right? But as far as packages and all that criteria and the terms of reference and all that, your discussions take place with the contractor, is that not correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
times we speak with the subs, for inspection services or on site and things like that.
Right.
We have a pretty good relationship with
Yeah.
our
But
staff.
the formal part of the agreement is with the contractor.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And just want to bring to your attention too, so you heard about that 2 weeks ago, right? Don't you think it'd be prudent to contact the manager, you're here every day,
Yeah.
to let him know?
Yeah.
That, these are questions that are taking place with the construction industry?
Yeah, well, the reason I wanna bring it up, is because of the second part of my question is, we are gonna remediate these areas so that there will be a clear, I'm gonna try to say it correct, clear pathway into the driveways on these affected areas. That's what I want,
It's
that's what I
already-
want on the public record.
It's already been done, it's the residents, we had these concerns as we got hit with snow, and there was concerns for people not having
Yeah.
access to their driveways, because again, it takes longer for
So,
concrete to cure, and people,
so those are the deficiencies, correct? That have to be corrected.
For this year, they're already corrected, residents have been notified, we dropped off letters on Friday. We've, had communications with residents and counselors of areas, and, everybody has access to their driveways now on all streets that are not complete and complete. And, for the winter season, we're proceeding like this, hopefully, we never know what the spring is gonna bring. The earlier it comes, the earlier the contractor can get out there and do the work, but we don't foresee that this will get fully complete.
Contact's been made with the residents, you communicate with them by letter, so everybody's informed.
Yep, drivers have been paved and everyone has tasks.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Any other
Yeah.
business?
Page 4.
Okay.
Removal of structures from 3 properties, Maple Avenue and Narberth Road. And it says here, original timeline for structural removal was December 19th. So will we meet that deadline?
I believe, so we were a little bit, yeah,
Through the chair to the,
I saw them working there the other day.
where, Narberth Road?
Yeah, I saw them on Mount Everett Road, yeah. So,
The two-
work's ongoing, isn't that correct?
work is ongoing. We were a little bit late, awarding the contract again, so we had some negotiations with the contractor, and we did tell them when we awarded that, we would be slightly flexible. They still seemed, content that they would finish the work on time. The plan, hopefully, is that they will still do that. I know they've been doing work. I think a few structures have already been removed on Mount Edward Road, and I think Maple Avenue.
Is next.
Yeah, I will have to give an update, but I think that is fairly close to being done too.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and just to clarify, the transaction between the city and the contractor, or the folks that have been awarded that contract, under the new procurement agreement, that does not come to elected officials anymore, correct? That's just done by senior management that administers that process, once again, under the new procurement bylaw, correct?
I believe that one fell through, yeah, that one
So it comes
fell
under
through.
that, okay, no, that's fine.
Thank you,
No,
sir.
I saw the work being done. I will ask, so in that bid that was sent out, and there's several parties that did respond, in terms of reinstatement of proper fill, that's, the onus is on the city of Charlottetown, correct?
No,
No,
so
it's on the contract.
it's on the contract,
It's on the
so,
contract,
yeah.
so they remove the foundation, they remove all of that, take out all the old fill, and bring in the proper fill, correct?
Right.
Who oversees that, on behalf of the city?
We have several members of our team that are looking after that through project management, so we have junior engineers, ourselves, and we have inspectors and operational staff that are working with these contractors.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Reports, discussion. Report A, North River Road Master Plan.
That's gonna pass that along to Riley, he's been leading the charge on this for a couple of years, so give a brief overview and we can answer your questions.
Thank you, folks. Realizing that everyone has not had a lot of time to review the important details, so we'll keep it somewhat high level, I guess, on what to speak to today, and we're certainly happy to answer questions here in this meeting, but also afterwards if there's any further discussion that any of you wanna have on the matter of North River Road Master Plan, but as you probably all know, over the last couple of years, we've been working with a consulting team to develop a master plan for North River Road from Capitol Drive all the way south to McGill Avenue. North River Road is a really critical transportation corridor in the city. There's of course very heavy traffic volumes. It spans a wide range of land uses from residential to dense commercial and institutional, and this area has been a corridor that has demonstrated some challenges over the years, and certainly some traffic congestion issues and so on. So back in I guess it was late 2023 we started this project, and really we approached it with three goals in mind. Firstly, improving road safety for everyone who uses the street, addressing traffic congestion and improving efficiency, and making upgrades to active transportation infrastructure as well as transit accommodations, with the emphasis being on all ages and abilities facilities on the street. This plan is now complete. We have a final report in hand, and it aims to address issues such as discontinuous bike lanes, sidewalks that force pedestrians to cross the street multiple times, congestion at major intersections, and limited transit accessibility. So, as you all know, North River Road is for the traffic that it carries and the role it plays in the overall transportation network in the city, it is a relatively narrow road. There's a lot of pinch points on the street, and through our study we kind of confirmed these constraints: limited right of way, discontinuous bike lanes and AT facilities, discontinuous sidewalks, and high delays in queuing at intersections such as Capitol Drive and Beech Grove Road. At the same time, there are also lots of good things about North River, and areas for opportunities for good improvements to be made. It connects directly to schools and parks, existing active transportation routes, and I will note as well that during the public engagement piece of this project, there was a strong community support for many of the improvements that are looked at in the plan. Folks do tend to agree on the issues that we see out there, and are in support of the city making these upgrades. I'll just kind of run through briefly the recommended infrastructure upgrades that, on kind of a high level that are set out in the plan for North River. One of the most significant focus areas is the Capitol Drive intersection. Currently, we do experience some fairly severe congestion, particularly in the afternoon peak time when folks are trying to leave Charlottetown. Ultimately, this plan, the long-term vision for this intersection would be a multi-lane roundabout. In the interim, there's a few other options that are considered sort of as short and medium term interim options. So looking at things like access management and trying to manage that very congested area a little better, and making some relatively minor upgrades to the signals that can sort of buy us some time and alleviate the capacity issues in the short term while allowing us to plan ultimately for that roundabout in the future. In general, in the whole corridor, it's a phased strategy. Obviously, the city wouldn't be able to address the whole 3-kilometer stretch of road in a year or even a few years. It ultimately will take several years to implement this plan, but across the corridor, the plan recommends protected unidirectional bike lanes on both sides of the roads, upgrades to sidewalks on essentially the whole road, new pedestrian crossings at various locations on the street, transit stop upgrades, targeted intersection improvements like left turn lanes being added, reconfigured school lay-by area at Queen Charlotte Intermediate, and new signals at North River Road and Kirkwood Drive. In terms of cost, things aren't really well defined at this point, but it's no secret that this will be a very expensive project. As such, it is one that we would see roll out over many, many years. The approach would be to start picking off some low-hanging fruit projects in this plan that we can start to build some momentum on, making these upgrades and seeing the benefits of it. And in the future, look at doing those more significant upgrades such as the bike lanes and sort of the linear infrastructure associated with that. In terms of the benefits of this, they're very broad. There's lots of benefits that can be, that we expect to see from doing this work. From a safety perspective, having continuous active transportation facilities and improved intersections will reduce conflicts and improve predictability for everyone. From an efficiency standpoint, by adding targeted left turn lanes at various intersections, ultimately roundabouts at certain intersections as well will reduce congestion, reduce delay, and reduce driver frustration, and will also help to improve transit reliability. And of course, from an accessibility and sustainability perspective, by implementing these AT facilities and making it a more convenient and comfortable option for folks to travel, we support that as a modal choice, and that also contributes to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and access to schools and parks and commercial areas and so on. And I guess just to kind of sum up that very, very, very brief overview of the project, the plan's intended to provide a bit of a framework for staff to work within, and provides a long-term vision for that street. While the implementation will occur over many years, by following this plan, it allows staff to move forward in a coordinated and strategic way to pursue funding opportunities and try to align the projects that are outlined in this master plan with other operational projects that are ongoing, and find efficiencies as much as we can there. So yeah, thank you very much. Encourage everyone here to review the full final report in detail, and as I said, we're always happy to discuss further with anyone and answer questions as they arise, and we hope you find it's a good project.
Councillor McAleer.
Yeah, no, thank you, Riley, for that overview. Just as it relates to, like you say, long-term vision would be with Capitol Drive, that, you know, multi-lane roundabout. Am I right in understanding, and this is only in conversations I've heard with either other councillors or perhaps, I don't know, maybe Mayor Brown, that Capitol Drive itself, which is, I guess, you know, number one highway, the province or the city responsible for that? I understand it's perhaps now the city.
Yeah, it is, it goes back to 2003. When we signed CUSA. Comprehensive Urban Services Agreement.
Okay.
Yes, we took it over.
So as it stands right now, if you were starting that, any kind of discussion or negotiation, as it relates to the multi-lane roundabout, I realize we're not on the doorstep of that, but would we be expecting, or could there be a case made for having the province part of the funding piece?
I'll start with an answer and pass it to Albert, but I for really all the projects that would fall under the master plan, I think we're going to be looking for partner funding opportunities. Whether that be, you know, the province on its own or through the federal streams that the province administers, I'm not sure. As His Worship mentioned, east of May Point Roundabout, Capitol Drive is city jurisdiction, so it would be fully city jurisdiction on that for that roundabout. But like I said, I think there's you know, we will be for every funding opportunity we can to help finance the projects for sure.
And when you talk about phases, I know, you know, there was a number of things done, like West Royalty, you held a public thing there. You talked about phases, phase one, phase two, like this, starting with that intersection is the phase one piece?
Yes, generally, there is, as in the report, there's sort of an implementation.
Yep. Yeah, I
strategy
didn't
there.
get there.
Yes, and apologize for
No, that's
for
fine,
the
thank
lack
you.
of time, but in general, it will move kind of from north to south, from Capitol down to McGill. There are some other localized projects that could be done, not necessarily in sequence of north to south, but from the plan, we see that the most severe issues that are being faced on Capitol Drive, or excuse me, on Northwood Road, are in the north area of the street in the Capitol Drive, Beach Grove Road area. So in general, it would be flowing from north to south.
Thank you, Riley. John, you done? Okay, thank you for the overview, good insight. A couple of questions. So you mentioned the significant upgrade would begin at the intersection and would be a roundabout. Were any other options explored besides the roundabout? Any other options?
Yep, absolutely. There were several signalized intersection options considered as well. As I mentioned, one of those is sort of an interim solution that we do intend to pursue in the shorter term to alleviate capacity issues. But ultimately, just based on the volumes that are experienced at that intersection, and particularly the volume of left turns heading northbound, making a left turn towards Cornwall, I guess, a roundabout is best suited to handle those volumes. And the modeling showed that it would provide the best operational efficiencies.
One of the things I keep bringing up with council with respect to North River Road is when the traffic is traveling north, comes through the intersection, vehicle traffic trying to make a left-hand turn into the Esso gas station to go to McDonald's and get gas, okay? That's problematic. And I would even suggest that it's dangerous because that traffic is backed up into that intersection. I've seen that, if I've seen it once, I've seen it well over 100 times. So in terms of the interim, what can we do to alleviate that? Should there be no left-hand turns as you're traveling north and making a left-hand turn into the SO McDonald's? Because I'm telling you, we're in a very precarious, I would even suggest a libelous situation if we allow that to happen, continue to allow that to happen.
Maybe I'll jump in on this one,
It's going south.
you're going south,
Yeah,
correct?
not
When you're
north.
going down North River Road, if you're
North
heading
means
towards
that
Euston
way.
Street, turning that left there with Tim's on your right, that's what you're speaking about, correct? Into the SO, are you?
Yes.
Yeah, Tim's on your right, then you're making a left-hand turn, and it forces that traffic, that congestion that you referred to, right back into the intersection.
Yeah, so,
So what can we do to alleviate that?
Going south.
yeah, so ultimately,
Going south.
ultimately, the roundabout will alleviate that because it'll have, you know, the center median that'll be extended far enough back to cut that off. And Riley's already mentioned, and we do have it in the budget line item, our first stage of work in that area will be to address that, whether it be just the center median, not allowing that left turn to happen.
Okay.
Depending on how far back we can go, what the design looks like. Again, we wanna be smart and strategic with the interim plan. We don't wanna build anything there that when we do go to do the roundabout in a few years, whenever that may be, that we have to take out any infrastructure, you know, or do work that isn't there. But ultimately, yes, we will be looking at improving that, probably reducing that left-hand turn, and Riley can maybe add anything in detail. We aren't fully there with the design yet, but the goal is to alleviate those issues and others in that area.
This summer,
Yes, this coming year.
this summer,
That's the hope, depending on capital approvals.
okay.
I will just add as well, totally agree with everything Albert said. Like, the issue you're describing is absolutely, has been considered in this plan. It was one that we flagged right from the get-go as a concern from the staff level. The consultants also identify it as an issue, so the recommendations are completely aligned with what you're saying, and that it is an issue that needs to be addressed, so just wanted to
Again, just to
reiterate
reiterate,
that,
gentlemen,
yeah.
this summer.
Again, I guess just to speak on that, yeah, it is one of our, you know, priority projects. I understand I wasn't here last year, but it was on the budget as well and did get removed. So, you know, we're gonna get to it in you know, the couple of next line items, but it is one of our priority projects that we're speaking of, and ultimately, you know, I can't say that until council
I know
agrees
you
on the
talked
budget.
several years for this, you know, the revitalization and the transformation of North River Road take place from Capitol Drive right up to, I think you said Queen Charlotte, you know, to Kirkwood Drive. A lot of times that traffic is backed right up to Kirkwood Drive. So, question I have is, what do you anticipate the cost of the capital project in its entirety? And when you say it's gonna be done in over a phased approach over several years, what can the residents expect in terms of, here's the plan of action, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4? Can you give me a summation of, I'm talking specifics, not just generalizing, I'm talking specifics.
I understand. Unfortunately, Councillor Twill, we aren't ready to do that at this time. The master plan for that whole area is initially just a conceptual design. Like I said, our first step right now is we're, you know, engaging consultants to look at kind of this first phase and do some detailed work. I would hate to throw a number out there.
There's a number in the report, 30 million.
Yeah, that number is there, but again, it all depends on when we do it, how we phase it. And this is, we still haven't gone out and done legal survey throughout that whole area. We know that it's congested, it's gonna depend on where we can put things. As we go along, we're gonna have to, part of the consultant's work for this was the overall conceptual design. As we go through this area, depending on what we bring, if water and sewer has to upgrade their infrastructure through the whole site, if we have to do stormwater infrastructure throughout there, that number can go up or can go down, depending on how long we stretch it out. This is another major north-south connector that implementation and phasing is important, because we can't do two major projects through this area, say University Avenue Master Plan and North River at the same time, or else we're gonna have traffic buildup, past Cornwall and further, so we do have to be strategic with that. Our steps, now that this plan is out there, is to dive into the details a little bit more, project it out, see how it looks like with the other master plans that are out there, and at the end of the day, we can plan it out, and it will depend on what the funding gets approved.
Chair, okay, no, and I'm sure Albert, you and your team, while you're considering future growth and on Lower Malpeck Road, both residentially and commercially, and what those needs will could be.
Yeah, absolutely, so as we've the consultant has looked at that, I believe, as part of this plan. And as we go into the detailed design and, we kind of zoom into the zones that we're looking at doing year by year, we will, as we do, share it with other departments and get planning input as we go, as new developments and applications come in, so.
Add to that a little bit, like the scope that the consultant was asked to look at was a 20-year traffic growth horizon based on population estimates and whatnot. We also provided to them as much detail as we had available about developments that we were aware of in the area. So that was all input, those were all input data points into the modeling, and yeah, so certainly planning for growth and not only known growth, but making assumptions about growth that's not necessarily defined at this point, but we assume will occur not only in Charlottetown, but in the neighboring areas that ultimately use North River Road for their commutes, so those were absolutely considered.
Thank you.
Councilor Terry.
Thank you, Chair. So my question aligns with the question that the CAO just asked, just in growth. From a modeling perspective, is the roundabout option considered the best approach from a traffic flow perspective? Obviously, growth. And the reason I ask that is I want to just draw some parallels, and maybe it's fair or unfair to do so, with the Eastern Gateway master plan. I think it was slated down there for a potential roundabout as well, that I think got taken out at one point in time. And being a resident of that area, noticing, like, I find the traffic, I don't see it any better than it ever was down there, to be honest with you. I mean, it's backed up to Beasley Avenue, almost up to Parkdale Pharmacy and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe, was that a missed opportunity for the roundabout there? And is this like I said, like, I'm wondering if this is the best way to move traffic on a more consistent basis, and we shouldn't have any other discussion other than a roundabout, in the sense of looking, you asked the question, was there other options looked at from a traffic signal perspective? My question is more like, is this a proven model for today? Because there's a lot of traffic, as we know, that funnels through there. Probably more northbound than coming southbound, although the morning is different, but
Yes.
I used to travel that northbound and just be sitting in North River Road for 45 minutes. So yeah, I guess I just want to understand from an engineering perspective, if I had to pick between options, that this would be the best to go, and maybe, in a parallel I might draw down there is that maybe that should have been what might have been help that. So, CEO, did you want to comment in on?
No, sorry, Chair.
Do you want to respond first?
Sure.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, based on the the analysis that was done for this master plan, yes, it is the best option that has been looked at. Roundabouts are generally difficult to construct. They take a lot of land. They're not cheap. They're somewhat invasive to surrounding area. So there's a lot of times where it may be the best traffic management solution, but that it's not logistically possible for other reasons. I can't necessarily speak to the decision making for Eastern Gateway on
No,
whether that was or
not what
not,
this,
but
it's not a debate over that at this point. I was trying to more understand, like, cause it was like that was in the plan and taken out, thought it was a bad, like, traffic versus roundabouts is all I'm trying to make the parallel to. Because I don't see down there how it's addressed the traffic issue, so it's drawn me to think that roundabouts are a better flow of continuous traffic.
They certainly can be, and they have
So
their,
it's getting to validate that thought process.
yeah, they definitely have their use case, and in particular, they handle left turns very well. So when there's a really heavy left turn demand, such as the case at North River and Capitol, they allow that to happen
That makes sense.
quite efficiently compared to traffic signals.
Just to touch on that if I can, it is like it's hard to compare like something like Eastern Gateway and over there just because again, that one, if it did happen, would have been a 3-legged roundabout. This is 4 legs, it's not like we can cut off Capitol or one of the areas and see what else can work. And like Riley pointed out, this is the ultimate, like the best case scenario, but there's times where it's interim dependent on other, economical stipulations and variables like that where
Yeah.
you can get to a point where the roundabout is gonna get you, it's all based on level of service for traffic flow, so doing something interim, like some type of improved signalized intersection may, have a better level of service for a few years, but ultimately you're gonna have to do that roundabout. So for us, and our consultant has seen that, and again, can't really speak on Eastern Gateway, but it does, these master plans are tricky because things do change, right? So, master plans get done and then if things don't get implemented for 5 or 10 years and you have new development, you have economic growth, you have things changing, you construct something somewhere else and traffic and people, move over there, then you reevaluate and reassess and pick the next best solution, so.
Yeah, and, in just looking at those comparisons, the Eastern Gateway efficiencies, I don't think are fully realized yet until some of the problems on the Stratford side are addressed with. Because I can tell you that's where the bottleneck is. I've watched that intersection and those issues many times. And I think what we do in the Eastern Gateway works fine. But when you do get that commuter traffic and that high volume of traffic, that's where the bottleneck occurs. And when there's one accident or one something, it's magnified by that intersection. But my understanding is that they are going to do something on the Stratford side.
So maybe like where the Esso is like around, but there would
Yeah.
probably move things.
That is
Yeah, I
going
guess,
to,
I
that
see
is
how
drastically
that
gonna
is, yeah, but
realize the efficiencies of our Eastern Gateway.
it was just trying to make the comparison for me to traffic versus roundabout. I just, cause I don't see how I see how the traffic is still continuing to be problematic there.
The
I mean,
province, the province owns that intersection, they made the decision.
I'm not debating.
And I think that also changed our rerouting of Water Street Parkway cutting across to Grafton. If it had been remained as a roundabout, I don't think they had the land there. But if I could just add, Mr. Chair, Upland Planning did a report on the development of the city, and that's part of our official plan. And they identified 4 corridors into the city: Longworth Avenue, St. Peter's Road, Mount Everett Road, down to Longworth Avenue intersection. They identified University Avenue, Malpeque Road, Lower Malpeque Road, and North Road. So WSP, did they communicate that this could also include more development on these corridors because of higher density?
That wouldn't have necessarily been part of their scope,
Okay.
but again, Riley, feel free to speak on it, but all of our, anytime we do go out for an RFP for a master plan or
Right.
any type of strategic approach to development or these bigger tasks, part of the scope, I guess, for the consultants that are doing this is to review our official plans and any
Okay.
documents and policies that we pass along, so I'm not sure, Riley, if you wanna touch on specifics there.
That's correct, so WSP from the get-go approached this project, ensuring that it was all, aligned with the official plan vision as well as the growth management report and everything else that was available to them, so they didn't necessarily speak to the fact that it would set up
Increased
North River
density.
Road for increased density, but they were aware that that was discussed, you know, in the periphery, so.
And Mr. Chair, if I go back to the report, page 9, would cost in the order of $30 million, that's $25. As chief engineer said, and Riley as the design engineer, is that as you plan it out 10 years, it goes up again, right? So we're looking at projects, North River Road, University Avenue, Mount Everett Road. Like, there's some big projects on the horizons. We have to find the money. If we don't have partners, then we better look at how to work it out of the Canada Communities Building Fund. Cause that's what the building fund is for these projects.
And
So I really think that we have some big fiscal challenges on these port of entries into the city of Charlottetown. Big, huge. And I think that, we're gonna have to prioritize. What's the priority? Is it North River Road? Is it University Avenue? Is it Mount Everett Road? Is it St. Peter's Road along with it? We have to make a priority, look at the priority list.
No, Madam Chair, just on the mayor's point in this important discussion, but I think that's why it's important for us to really identify what the importance of Charlottetown is to the province. We have Center of the Healthcare, government, like things flowing in out of Charlottetown. We have to emphasize that in our pitch for infrastructure dollars, like our traffic counts that Riley's been doing and the layers or GPS locations, all important data. We need to build a data argument to why we need to make sure that Charlottetown is accessible. And I'm sure, I know you guys are up to the challenge.
Yeah, I just wanna, speaking on the CCBF funding, so just to note that we did, in partner with finance, did present at, I think, September 17th, finance meeting, where we did speak on University Avenue Phase 1, North River Road Phase 1, Exhibition Drive and Capitol Drive. And we showed the projections for that money that we have over the next 4 years. And
Right.
for next year, we did put in that we would be, looking to request, I think it was $2 million for North River Road.
North Road.
And we had Exhibition Drive reconstruction on there as well,
What
as well as
What was the other drive?
Exhibition Drive.
Okay,
And we had funding for University Avenue Phase 1 for design. And right now, currently, as we see it, our hopes are North River Road construction next year for Phase 1, and then University Avenue Phase 1 the year after, if everything goes to plan.
but I thought, Mr. Chair, we had a design for University Avenue under the former manager.
We have a master plan and we have started the design for Phase 1, but again, there's been a lot of different things that have come to light. We haven't been able to fully design that at this point. We're still negotiating with landowners, with utility companies, with underground, just to make sure that, again, we have all the space and we're doing the correct thing there that we wanna do, so.
And the project I did forget, Mr. Chair, was the Queen Street Stormwater Management issue. And they phased that over 3 years, I think at 25 million too, or 20. It's big projects, guys. Decisions have to be made.
So, I want to get back to the active transportation pathway. So is it more of a bike lane or is it active transportation pathway, which would be much more all-inclusive?
So it's a unidirectional bike path and a sidewalk on both sides of the street. So instead of choosing a multi-use pathway or a sidewalk, essentially it is going to separate pedestrians from cyclists, and it will allow cyclists to have their own dedicated lane, both northbound and southbound, and it will also provide a sidewalk on both sides of the street.
Okay. in this plan, does it illustrate that? Or is there room to add any more lanes for, the vehicle traffic?
In general, the cross-section of North River wouldn't be widened beyond 2 lanes, or excuse me, 1 lane each direction. But the key is that at intersections where we have congestion issues, we're trying to add left turn lanes so that turning traffic doesn't impede traffic flow, which is a cause of congestion right now. So for example, Burns Avenue, access to Charlottetown Rural, that's an issue there. Kirkwood Drive is another example of that, where left turning traffic often impedes southbound traffic. So those types of intersection improvements are the widenings that we would do. We wouldn't just simply widen the whole street. There's just not enough space to do that essentially. So being selective with where we are widening is kind of the thought with this
And
project.
that was showcased in that open house that took place at the West Royalty Community Center. Right, and this is driven by the Public Works Department, like in terms of cycling lanes or pedestrian walkways, all that kind of stuff. That lives and dies here in Public Works, correct?
We're leading this project and we would certainly lead the design and construction of it, but
That's right, that's
But
what I
this,
thought.
but this plan definitely integrates with the AT plan that was recently adopted as well, so, you know, they don't live in silos, they're absolutely connected. And there will definitely be a lot of collaboration with environment sustainability on the active transportation and transit component to this project, so.
But Public Works is leading it, correct? Am I correct in that?
We're leading the master plan, yes.
You're leading the master plan. Okay. Any other questions? North River Road Master
Yeah.
Plan.
Mr. Chair, just on that, it says here on page 8, protected unidirectional raised pipelines from Beach Grove Road to McGill Avenue. So in Nova Scotia, I think they make reference to the Nova Scotia Traffic Act, bicycles are not allowed at sidewalks, except for bicycle for small kids. I don't think that's covered in our traffic act, is it? Do we know that? That bicycles can ride on a sidewalk? The reason I ask is that
No, but
I just find with these dedicated, and I know in the active transportation plan, it's about dedicated cycling lanes. Look, Riley, we saw it during the closing of the inside lane at Victoria Park when it was just a cycling lane. You know, you might see a bicycle a day. But when COVID hit, it became a multi-use paved pathway or an active transportation pathway. It's much more, there's a lot more use. That's why I'm not a big proponent of just dedicated cycling lanes. There has to be more multi-purpose or active transportation use, because we don't have the space on North Road. Just as you said, we can't expand it anymore. So we start adding dedicated cycle lane, a dedicated sidewalk, it adds, I think, it's not, I shouldn't say it's not working, it's causing frustrations in other jurisdictions.
If I could speak on it a little bit, I think, again, point taken on Queen Elizabeth Park. I think North River Road is a little bit different, and our consultant has looked at this, and we have gotten a lot of feedback from the open houses and surveys and everything, and this approach was determined to be the better approach for this location. Again, it's a north-south connector, there is still sidewalk on both sides, and because it's a north-south connector, having that dedicated bike lane where cyclists that use it for commuting versus cyclists maybe using Victoria Parkway is more of a leisurely activity.
Right.
Again, this still allows, those people that are using the sidewalk to, walk and feel safer, but sometimes when you have that multi-use paved pathway, if you have cyclists that are traveling in both directions on that, then people don't feel safe necessarily on that side of the road. just walking with their kids
Yeah.
on a bike or something. And we can definitely look into that, but
Anyways,
I do
it's-
think that the sidewalk, I'm not sure about the traffic act, but
It's just a
I think it
concern
is
I have, and
a
I
certain
think
age.
that's what's being experienced in other jurisdictions, Halifax, Ontario, Toronto and so forth. Look, it's just something I wanna put in there.
It's
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
it's a hard question to answer without the,
Yeah, and of course, if you want to read some of the national newspapers, you follow those discussions. Cyclists are complaining, for example, I read a recent article in Halifax, they're frustrated that the cycle lanes are not cleared of whether it's snow, debris, salt, sand, whatever the case may be. So it's, you get different constituencies all, wanting their own respective space. So it is unimpeded and there's no obstruction. Those are things we're gonna have to contend with as well. I think that's gonna bring an end to the North River Master Plan. Councillor McTart has to leave at 1. Well, that's a pretty lengthy agenda to do all at once, to be quite frank. I'm gonna propose,
Yep.
because if, you're looking at operational capital, normally we would have one meeting to do operational, we'd have another meeting to do capital. And then, of course, the other with the civil sports for persons with disabilities. I'm just gonna make a suggestion, folks. I think we need to set up another meeting. I think it's, in all fairness to Councilor McTart, he should be here. And then we choose another date. Is everybody okay with that?
So could I just ask, Mr. Chair, I'm going through my package here, 26-27 draft budgets. Just 1 second. So if we're gonna do that, okay, we're gonna read the reports, so when we come back here, we're not gonna go through line by line.
Right.
To say, okay, like, that's why the package is here. I'm in agreement, yeah, the council from Ward 2,
Yeah.
respect what he wants to do, I agree. But they're all bookmarked, so we can go right to them and go over them in our own, at our own leisure.
Yeah.
But let's be ready to come back and deal with them head on.
Okay, move for
So-
adjourn.
So what's the proposed date for the next meeting?
Well, I don't know, either we do it before Christmas or after Christmas.
I think it'd be challenging to get it done before Christmas at this
Yeah,
point.
so after Christmas, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, so I'm gone till the 28th, 29th.
Okay, we'll wait till you come back. Where did you say you were going?
Get back,
Oh, okay.
get back to events.
Oh, we'll wait till he comes back. By that time, the report should be in from the Green Light Committee. What? Look-
So is that what we're looking at
Yeah.
after?
Yeah, we are.
I move.
Okay, move, second. Motion carried, thank you.
Mr. Chair, just before, just under new business, I just, again, flagging this, the signage for the eastern entry into Charlottetown is not up yet. We haven't moved it from M&M to the corner, I know we're looking at something, I keep bringing it up just, again, Just-
point taken,
just-
Joey's
just
away
green
right
light
now,
on
but
that.
I know he's been making some progress.
Yeah.
Last time I spoke to him on finding a spot where he can go. So we'll continue to look at that.
okay. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion moved, second. Motion carried, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Justin?